welcome to the August 3rd Committee of the Whole meeting for the Big Spring School District. It's 7:01. I'd like to call the meeting to order at this time. Do we have any public comment for the Committee of the Whole meeting? Hearing none, we'll move on to presentations. Dr. Carnes, high school principal, is going to give us some information on targeted support and improvement for some of our students' plan. So Dr. Carnes, thank you first of all for getting ready for school. And second of all, I think you still have what, 21 days? Not that anybody's counting, but I just noticed it's like 3 weeks from tomorrow or something. So thank you for everything you've done, and please give us some update on our school improvement plan. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you, first of all, for the opportunity to speak to you tonight. Underneath the circumstances, I'm here. I don't like that, but hey, we are who we are, and we've got to continue to improve. So, you know, the core mission when we think about things in regards to what I'm going to present is our kids to be career ready upon graduation. And so when we look at this targeted support and improvement plan, one of the things you're going to hear me talk about is least restrictive environment, which is one of the focus areas of always with our students with special disabilities in terms of keeping them out in the regular ed population as much as possible and getting that curriculum. So we're now in TSI for the third year. Areas we need to grow on this current plan is our achievement and our growth in both math and ELA, English Language Arts, as well as our attendance in terms of our students with disabilities group. It's that group that is kept us on a plan now for the third year. We have the first 2 years been able to remove some of the things that have put us on a TSI plan, and we continue to do so. This year, as you look back at some of the areas, the reasons, you'll see a 23% gap between our students with IEPs and our regular ed, or I should say our all student group. And that's part of what, when you look at your TSI plan or you look at writing, you see where those areas exist and how you can improve them. And in addition to that, you'll see that there's a gap in our attendance of 11.1%. So when we look at our strengths, I won't read all those bullets. I believe you received the plan as well. Look at a strength, particularly in algebra. There's a couple of reasons that algebra has seen the significant growth that it has. And two of those are, one is that we've broken algebra down into 2 courses for some of our students. So they can get that now, what will be over 2 years with all of our 4-year courses. Whereas in the past, it would have been a blocked class for an entire year potentially, and allow them to get more engrossed in the content and learn it over a longer period of time. In addition to that, we did add co-teaching to our tested areas last year, which we'll continue with, but that was another addition in the past year. And we saw some growth in our algebra in terms of our summative assessment scores. And if you can't really compare this data in the TSI plan to our last year's standardized tests scores, but when I've looked at those since we received them over the summer, and we've seen some improvement there as well. You know, our students with disability subgroup, I mean, there's a 26% growth in that area, and the attendance in that subgroup area, they grew 5.1% from 1 year to the next. But we definitely have our challenges. Maybe.
Like a remote.
Yeah, like a battery. Like a clicker. All right, there we go. And as I alluded to before, is that gap between the all student group and the students with disability subgroup. That's a thing we need to continue to try and close. It's great to see our all student group achieve, but we also want to see our students with disabilities achieve as well, which I believe is addressed in our plan directly. We also know that we have students that have barriers both inside and outside the school that inhibit their ability to focus or even attend school. So we need to continue to work on that as well, because the first part of achieving in school is being in school. So we're going to look at our goals, really break our goals down into 2 areas. Goal 1 is looking at that co-teaching for academic growth. So last year we started co-teaching 9th and 10th grade English, Algebra 1, and although biology is not included in TSI, we do also co-teach in biology as it is a keystone tested area. So we're going to continue to work with that area as well as improve our attendance and engagement. Kids aren't in school. It's sort of hard to improve. So 2 years ago, when I started, we began to start what was called a student response team, continued to build on that last year, which includes our psychologists, social workers, counselors, administrators, anyone that can really come to the table and help us one by one talk about kids and how we can make one kid at a time, remove some barriers to help them achieve in school. In addition to that, this year is our special ed case managers will also be monitoring regularly the students' attendance that are on their caseloads. So that's an expectation that's been set forth, and we're looking for a 5% increase in daily attendance in that subgroup in this plan. Additionally, I didn't have it in my notes, but one thing that we have this year in the blue there is that all these courses are going to be full year courses now, and our teachers will be able to progress monitor within the classroom, which, without getting into the minutia of that, has been a barrier when they didn't have a student in a particular class to find time to pull them out to see how they're doing. They're missing instruction while we're pulling them out to monitor how they're doing. So now they're losing while we're trying to figure out if they gained. So we've made some changes there as well. From a professional development standpoint, as the TSI plan is asked you to call out, is how are you going to improve? Like, what are you going to do from a professional development standpoint and working with Mrs. Donato? We've decided we're going to continue to work with our co-teachers, are going to continue to work as a group as they did last year, as well as they're on teams of 2. They'll work together in both settings and continue to improve how they teach. So within co-teaching, there's different ways that you can model, as well as being able to learn from each other. Second to that is the use of Ames Web Plus, which we've been using, but we're going to, as I alluded to before, we're going to continue with progress monitoring and improving that area, with the understanding that we need to continue to make sure that we have the right goals written and that we're assessing the correct goals, and therefore we can see how growths are occurring, and if they're not, how we can intervene. So co-teaching, we continue to see our students with disabilities, that subgroup, get some of that regular curriculum that they may not have gotten in the past, because we've now provided that support of that co-teacher in the classroom. So it's been, if done right, which we have spent a lot of time and energy in ensuring we do, this provides some of our students opportunities they may not have otherwise received in the past. So we'll continue to work on that. And then in addition to that is that tier system to address truancy by adding that case manager in there to continue to look at their group of kids, to monitor not just their grades and their progress and their academics, but how are they doing in terms of their attendance. So in closing, we're going to focus on the co-teaching, proactive attendance, and we're just going to continue to address these significant challenges. And it's part of what we're going to do, regardless if we have this TSI designation or not. It's what's right for our kids. And it's not just to meet the benchmarks, it's to make sure we provide that safe environment for our kids and also the supports to help them grow. So at this point, should you approve the plan, then it goes to PDE. PDE says, yeah, this is good, or no, you need to improve it. Any improvements or changes we need to make, we will, and then we'll execute the plan as approved.
Thank you, Mr. Carnes. A few comments. I think I know the answers to some of these, but to make sure everyone's aware. So this subgroup, how many students would we classify total is in this group? And I don't want the exact number. Can you just give me a round number? 600, 200?
No. So our students with disabilities is
Yes.
a percentage of our population too. So to be a subgroup has to be over 20 students. So I can tell you it's over 20.
Okay. And these students with disabilities, some of them are physical, some are mental, some are educational, and some may be family support from home. Is that correct?
The students with disabilities designation is based off of students with IEPs. That's how they determine that designation. So like 504 plans would not be included
Okay,
as that subgroup as determined by the Department of Education.
but we didn't improve at the same rate as some of the general population, we could say.
Right. And you got to remember, a lot of the data they're providing us is old data. So the attendance data is sometimes 2 years old.
Right,
And then you're comparing something from several years. And we're already making adjustments because we have data that's more accurate, more current, that are helping us make decisions anyway.
some of the students might have English as I don't know whether I'm saying this right, Dr. Grante, a second language.
Yeah, English language learners.
Right,
Yeah.
so they may be, I don't want to say behind, but they may be challenged because they don't have English as their primary language. And so they may have difficulty reading questions, doing some of the assignments, doing whatever until we bring them up to speed in English, because most of the tests and the assessments are based upon English, correct?
That's correct. And one of the areas they look at in TSI, there are several areas they look at in terms of designation. We do not have enough students just in as English language learners to be a subgroup, but some of those students could certainly have disabilities that would be in the subgroup that puts us on a TSI plan. So that could be a barrier as well, yes.
Right. So there are many factors that go into whether a student has disabilities. And yes, they form a subgroup, but each student could be unique in what their disability is. And like you said, it's not 504 plans, it's individual education plans for each of these students. And so when they face the tests, there may be I don't want to say fear, but there may be a concern of how I approach this test and how well I can do on it before they even answer the first question.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely. And that's part of our job
right.
is not, okay, maybe they don't do well on the test, but hey, you might take tests in life. We need to help you learn how to get rid of that or learn from that anxiety to improve. And maybe you don't pass the test, but maybe that's an area of proof. We can't measure that per se, but there's more to the test, like you just alluded, than just taking the test.
Right.
The other variables.
The other factor I thought from teaching was some students, the motivational level that they have may not be as strong as other students, depending upon their academic goals, depending upon their career path, depending upon where they're at, they struggle. And then if they get too far behind, then why go to school? So there's that vicious cycle of keeping them motivated, keeping them involved, keeping them in clubs, keeping them in activities, but also make sure they're learning, reading, writing, and math.
Absolutely.
Good. Comments from the board?
I have a question.
Yes. Mr. Shade?
I think was the goal setting page, one of the items was, it said the team analyzes students to determine the best learning environments. And I was just kind of curious what kind of time frame that process, took. What I'm concerned about is a student obviously struggling. How long do they sit in that struggling state before the team decides that they need to move to a different type of learning environment?
It's happened in many different places. So it could be our student response team meeting where we see some of this going on. We can make the changes pretty quickly.
Yeah.
It's very fluid, and or particularly with this subgroup, you can make changes at any time. So you have a student with an IEP, you can make the changes at any time. Then if you need to, you make adjustment to their IEP itself. But I can speak on the good side, particularly, I'm thinking of an instance last year where we had a student that was in what we call a pull out class, where they were pulled out to a special ed room for their English. And I would say a quarter into the year, we were moving them into a co-taught classroom because they were progressing. So it can work both ways. And that's part of the case manager's job, is to, through that progress monitoring, is make those adjustments, whether it's smaller things that need to be learned based on goals, or if it's a class change that needs to happen. That communication just can occur
So it's a
daily.
quick process, so
It can
students
happen
not
very
sitting in
quickly.
limbo waiting.
It shouldn't need to happen that way.
No,
Right.
that's what I was looking for.
Yeah, if that happens, we haven't done something correctly. I'm not saying it doesn't, but I'm saying you know, that's something that we need to be aware of so we can rectify and then not make the same mistake.
How many of the students would you say develop behavioral issues because they're struggling? Or there's a connection, yes, no?
It depends what you describe as behavior. I would say apathy, you alluded to in terms of, shutting down more so than out and these overt behaviors. We don't see that as much, at least, especially at the high school level with terms of frustration and quitting. Yeah. Frustration and outward behavior, not so much. Now we have a population of students that are in emotional support that maybe that's something that happens with them, but it's not a large population. I would say more to the shutdown, and we just need to continue to coach them up. And that's why we have to have so many adults and people involved to find the right person to help them.
Good.
Yeah.
Mr. Myers?
Yes, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but you're saying the attendance of these identified kids is a lot worse than the regular ed students?
It's worse. I wouldn't say, I don't know, a lot, but it's bad enough for the state to say, hey, this needs to improve.
Okay.
The other thing the state looks at, and I didn't talk about it tonight, it's not in the slide deck, is so within a TSI plan, they don't expect, so this particular subgroup, they don't expect them to perform at the same level of the all-student group, but there's a threshold that they give you when you get the letter from PDE in December. And they tell you, hey, you're on TSI next year. Because you didn't meet this goal and you were 62% and the goal was 64%. That's a lot different than being 40%. You're still not right. You're still not that benchmark, but they give you the benchmark of where their cutoff was. How they determine that, I honestly couldn't tell you. They tell us what it is, and okay.
And the co-teaching is presumed to be one of the solutions to that, to help that, the co-teaching,
Yes.
rather than.
Yeah, I mean, if you can expose a student to the regular ed curriculum that they might have otherwise not gotten, because maybe they would have had a special education teacher only teaching them biology, let's say. Now they have a teacher that's certified in biology teaching them the biology. Oh, and by the way, we're going to bring the special ed teacher in who's also highly qualified in biology to teach together. It's win-win. And I mean, just not just the academic side of it, but when you think about it, if the student has been in pulled out all these years and all of a sudden they get pulled in and included, the self-confidence and their self-efficacy grows as well. So that, because now I'm getting included again, and it's not like they're missing out. We do still have students that do benefit from being in a pulled out classroom because they're not at a level where they're necessarily prepared for that regular curriculum at a pace that we offer it. They are still getting some of that curriculum. They're just not getting at the same pace. But that number is substantially smaller than when I showed up here. I can tell you that. Not because of me, because of what we did to make some changes at the high school.
Thank you.
Go ahead. Mr. Corman?
Yeah, I have some experience with the being in a support group that goes to outside the normal classroom and then being introduced back into the normal classroom. And when I was going through that, my fear was that I was slowing down the rest of the students in the normal classroom. Do we make sure that the normal classroom is still operating at the speed that the non-challenged learners can learn at? I mean, because I don't want to be handicapping, so to speak, any of our faster learners because we put in some slower learners back into the class. And that can cause some issues too. Like if I'm a slower learner and I take a little bit longer to read something or I stutter while I'm reading it, sometimes that can be redirected back at you through bullying and just name calling and other things. So are we making sure we're doing this in a way to make sure that the general education students are not being affected by the learner coming into the classroom? Or how do you have any data on that?
Yeah, the pacing really shouldn't change much at all, really. the idea is to have that other support in the room. So when you have co-teaching, you have different strategies or different models that you're using. So one strategy might be, or one model might be, I'm the biology teacher. I'm going to teach the last part of the lesson today. And the special ed teacher is going to be assisting students as they're going around the room. In a lot of situations, there's two things that you will not notice. You will not notice who the regular ed biology teacher is and who the special ed biology teacher is, because they both teach. You won't notice who the students with IEPs are and who the students without IEPs are, because everybody gets the same attention that's needed. So if we have, let's just say there's a skill in particular that was assessed, and well, this group of 5 students didn't get it as well, we might have some time in class where one of the teachers, doesn't matter which, can take this group over to the side. They can work on that skill and assess. And this group can either be doing some previewing or accelerating, or some enrichment to, so this group over here is not getting behind. They're getting actually caught up, if you will, and this group's just getting enriched. And there's many classes I go in, and when I go and observe, I don't know who the students are with IEPs and who aren't, because that's not the role. The role is we're teaching kids. The labels are removed, and the acceptance piece, what I've seen in my career, has become one of which I know what you're speaking about, and I understand it. I just don't see it as much. And I don't want to think that I'm blind to it, because sometimes you look for it. And I just don't. I just see more inclusive activity. I just think it's become more normal to be just included. And where you go for your class here or there, it doesn't matter, because they're moving all the time. So not everybody's remembering anybody else's schedule, because they're off down to the ag department, that kid's going over there to art. And so it's not as understanding your question and concern. It certainly is. I haven't seen it.
It does seem like the way we're doing it now is a better way. I was just trying to make sure we're not putting students in positions that I had to go through and others in my generation had to go through with special education.
Right. A great point.
Very good. Any other comments from the board? Hearing none, thank you, Mr. Carnes, for not only your work, but your team, we work, as you said, and helping all of our students succeed, no matter what their abilities, disabilities, success, those things. It's not easy, because each student is unique, but we need to meet their needs and try to bring them forward. So thank you.
Yep. Thank you very much.
Okay, finishing up the committee of the whole, is there any other items for the committee of the whole?
Yes.
Mrs. Booth, please.
I just have a couple things I'd like to talk to the board about, in relation to the cafeteria account mainly. My thought process on this got redirected again as I got a letter in the mail with 74 cents postage on it, which is an invoice. If you remember back when we approved the Washington DC trips, we had graciously been given the transportation for our students, and it just so happened that I knew a particular senior who had not gotten the email. And I said, can we just please open this back up one more time to make sure we fill our bus? Because we have a free bus, let's put some students on it. So that got a little bit of concern that this was going to cost a little more money. And in the end, it was only going to cost a little extra money for snacks and food. Which brings me to the cafeteria account. I had suggested during that process of doing that trip that we use some of our excess money from our cafeteria account to cover the lunches and some snacks for that trip, because there's, which we'll get to, there's some issues with that account. So it was to my surprise, I got, rather than notice that, oh, by the way, good news, we have 10 more kids to go along on that trip, verbally or in an email or whatever. I got an invoice in the mail for $15, which does tell me that 10 extra kids went, because I got a bill for 10 snacks. So, which is well worth it. I'm so glad we got to send 10 extra kids, and I have my check that I'll be handing over. I just wish we could have done it in a way that was still a donation, which is how it was intended in the first place. So But that brings me to the cafeteria account, which is where that money was supposed to come from. At the end of May, I reached out and talked to the treasurer about her support and asking the business manager to work towards having our cafeteria checking account start making interest. I noticed that its balance was up. I think the ending balance, the last one I had seen was around $300,000, and we were not getting any interest on that. It actually is at ACNB where we had, when I came on the board through some changes, we started getting 1% interest on that account. Those accounts, those checking accounts, which was a significant amount of money for our district. But this particular account, for some reason, I had brought it up before and it just never got transitioned to make any interest. So here we are having $300,000 sitting in an account with 0 interest. So I brought this up again, nothing really happened. So on June 9th, I sent an email out to the treasurer and business manager asking them to please look into this. It's been on my radar. It concerns me that we're not doing the best we can with our resources. And yet we're concerned about $1.50 a kid for snacks to go on a free bus ride for a wonderful trip. But thankfully now, after some time and back and forth with the business office and the bank, it does seem that we will be getting 1% interest on that account now, which I think is overdue. If we were going to continue to have around 300,000 in that account monthly, that's going to be $3,000 extra for us to put towards our children's food and our cafeterias and supplies and, buying new equipment. Even if we only had 100,000 in there, that's $1,000. And to me, that's way better than 0. So I'm thankful that we got that accomplished. If we had been forceful and got that done 2.5 years ago, we might have gained another 4,000 to 8,000 if we were moving along that line, but that's behind us. As of right now, actually, our account balance for the cafeteria account, if you looked at your agendas, is over $1.6 million. Since I've been on the board, I brought up different ideas. One that really bothers me is that we use disposable plastic silverware every day and they go in the trash. During COVID, the regular silverware went away. They apparently no longer exist on the properties. I would like to see that change. And according to the Chartwell's manager in the meeting we had, he thinks it would be a wash. It's going to cost something for silverware. Some of it gets thrown away. It costs more to wash it in the dishwasher, but it would be about the same as having plastic silverware, but yet that has not happened, and we are not moving to make that happen. So I would like the whole board to be aware of that. It's something that serves me. Other things I brought up that did not gain traction were possible employee bonuses, because our cafeteria employees are not part of the school district as far as being an employee of the school district, so they do not receive the state retirement like our other employees do, and they make a small wage, and they have the summers off, and they're not making a paycheck during that time. So a small bonus, maybe at the end of the year or at Christmas time, would be a big deal to those employees, and maybe do a lot to help them return the next year. I noticed we are also looking for some employees in that area this year. Also, I talked about doing a lower dollar lunch, maybe do the dollar lunch for a year. Since we have excessive funds, we could afford that, and we could give our families a little relief. And also, of course, we did the field trip snacks, which was good. And then also I looked into how much debt we have. We do have a lot of families that have debt to our lunch program, and that's something that maybe we could consider. But as a background on the cafeteria account, generally speaking, these are they're not to make money. It's just for us to feed our kids and to keep the equipment going. Over COVID, a lot changed. In fact, it's such a problem to make too much money on them that each year we fill out a child nutrition financial report with the state. I asked for these. I got some of them. I have some gaps in what I received. But I was able to see that in the year 1819, for example, we transferred $772,000 from our general fund over to the cafeteria fund, just to sustain it and to do our big redo of the new build kitchen. That year, we still ended up with $550,000 in cash in the cafeteria account, so we probably overshot that amount that they transferred. So therefore, we didn't have to do a corrective action plan that year of too much funds. However, things really changed during COVID and in the 21-22 school year. That year, we made $492,000 on our food program. And that year we ended with $892,000 in that account. It's only gone up from there. That particular year though, on our financial report that we have to give the state, we told them with our extra money, we hadn't adjusted, they justify keeping 3 months expenses. They're okay with that. At the bottom of the sheet, you just subtract that off your balance. But we still had roughly $400,000 to justify. So to justify that, we said we were gonna make some purchases. We were planning on buying a heater for the boosters, a mobile heated cabinet, convection ovens for the middle school and Flat Elementary, and a dishwasher and a food truck for $100,000. And we were gonna redo the middle school kitchen. Most of that has not happened. The next year we made $228,000. We showed 1.1 million in the account. We justified it again with very similar things, including a food truck, which that year we estimated would down cost us 120,000. And we were still looking at doing the middle school kitchen renovation, which we just put down the number. I think that was left of the money we had to justify, which was $390,000. As far as I know, we're still waiting to get our middle school kitchen redone. I do know that we just bought some dishwashers. And I'm hoping that that will help us be ready to round the bend to go back to silverware instead of disposable plasticware. Not only is that good for our earth, it also teaches our children good stewardship. So I think that's a very important one. So now, fast forward, the last report that I had, I think was from 23-24, and we were saying the same things, that we're gonna redo the middle school kitchen. We might have given up on the food truck at that point, but that never happened, obviously. So according to this meeting's cafeteria report, it looks like we will be up this year about $240,000 again. So then the balance is sitting around $1.6 million. So it keeps growing. We didn't do the things we told the state we were going to do, which apparently has no consequence, which is shocking to me. And another summer has passed and we haven't redone the middle school kitchen. So I guess my question is, what do we plan to do with this money? What are we going to do good for our students and our families? One of the options on these little reports is that we can lower lunch prices. When I brought that up, it was ill received by the, administrators that sat down with, but I think that would be reasonable. So I would like to see what ideas you have. What ideas do you have to improve our school lunch program with this excess money? And this year, what are we gonna claim that we're gonna do with the extra? Because last year we had a good amount sitting in there. It keeps growing. We're gonna have more money. We're gonna have to tell the state what we're doing. What is that going to be? Those are my questions to the board. And I would be happy to hear suggestions. I'm sure administration will as well before they just decide what they're gonna put down there without any input from the board. So in the meantime, I still believe that it's important to be good stewards of what we have in that account and make that interest as we can. But I think we also need to consider what we're going to do with it so that we can do a good job for our students and give them the best lunches. That's all I have, thanks.
Thank you, Mrs. Booth. Any comments from the board on any items? Okay, Dr. Bronte, can we have our food service company look at some of these items at least and maybe report back what their needs are or what their plans are for equipment or what really needs to be done in the middle school kitchen?
My suggestion would be that the board come up with a list of potential interests for that. There are legalities and structures to some of the things that were mentioned and they have been explained. But once we come up with a list, then the experts can say, yes, you can do that with that money. No, you cannot do that with my money. I'll report out to the board and I'll have to ask Mrs. Lentz, but I am almost certain that the cafeteria and Mrs. Lentz sought out approval to cover the funding for the field trip, but it was not approved based on the legalities and the utilization of those monies. So it wasn't as if we didn't try, it just, there are strict guidelines on how and what you can do with that money. So if the board wanted to say, okay, I want to do X, Y, Z, A, B, C, I would take those 6 things. I would then cross-reference them with whether they fit within legal boundaries.
I could report back to the board and say, okay, out of these 6 wishes, you can do 2 of them. And then the board could discuss how they want to go about doing 2 of them. That makes sense?
Yes, Mr. Shea.
Um, Thank you for all the research, Mrs. Booth. That's very good information. It was very thorough. I enjoyed hearing all of it. I really like the idea of, possibly discounting the students, using that to offset maybe, I don't know, 50 cents, $1, I don't know what. But I would need more information as to how many meals a year, how many students purchase. I mean, we need to analyze that whole area. Would it be possible to maybe, I do.
That
like
was
the
one of the
idea-
suggestions that was brought up, and in
Yeah.
the explanation, there's a minimum threshold that you can charge. And this year, we were actually highly encouraged, I'll use the word encouraged, it's not the most applicable, and also accountable for holding our lunches steady. So that is something that we would have to get into the weeds about, and we would have to get on page 4 and 5 of that explanation to understand why. But from the people that are managing these scenarios and the legalities from PDE and the national standards, you can't just discount your lunch prices to $1.
Right.
There are certain, in order to qualify for reimbursal and to keep free and reduced where free and reduced is, there are guidelines and structures to that.
We also get a lot of products, sometimes at very reduced rate or almost no rate for food, and we don't want to lose that cost savings, I guess. So that minimum threshold, we need to look at and make sure that we're within the guidelines, I guess. is important.
I think we would be willing to do what is in the best interest of our students. And if there are things that we can do to make the situation better, I'm certainly open to doing that. I would take advice and guidance from the board in terms of what it would be based on their interest. There's a lot of things you can do with it, in theory. But what's actually legal, we would have to cross-reference that.
Well, it gave us a lot of information to think about and maybe some ideas that can be brought forward. And thank you, Mrs. Booth, for encouraging us to get interest on that money. That will definitely help the overall budget and the cafeteria fund. Anything else for the committee of the whole at this time? Do I have a motion to adjourn the committee of the whole, please?
Motion.
Motion, Mr. Myers, second.
Second.
Second, Mr. Shea. There is no discussion. Unless I hear a negative or abstain, we will adjourn the meeting. I call the meeting adjourned at 7:38 p.m. Are we ready to move forward with the regular school board meeting? Does anybody need a break? Okay, then we'll move forward with the regular school board meeting, August 3rd. Does somebody want to break, Mr. Brown?
I don't know, Mike was looking at, Mr. Hernsfield was looking at me. I normally call it,
Okay. We'll keep moving forward if that's okay. August 3rd, 2026. I'd like to call the meeting to order at 7:38 p.m. Do I please have rise for pledge of allegiance to the flag?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I want to welcome everyone that's here this evening and thank you for coming out. It's good to see you here on a nice, still summer evening. Mrs. Malat, are you with us? Allison? Okay, she didn't join yet. Maybe she'll be able to join. Very good. So this evening we will conduct the business of the board. We have another meeting here in August yet. And then our students come on the 25th, right?
You're correct.
25th is the first day for students. So we have this meeting and one other meeting. I know the administration and the teachers and a lot of people are getting a lot of things ready around the school. Do we have any specific student or staff recognition or board reports, Dr. Granta?
No, sir.
Thank you. Do we have any reading of correspondence?
No, sir.
Thank you. Recognition of visitors, please sign the clipboard for tonight's meeting so that we know everyone is here. Do we have any public comments? Donna? Okay, thank you. Moving on to number 6 on the agenda, motion to approve the committee of the whole. the board meeting minutes for the June 22nd, 2026 as presented. Do I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Motion, Mr. Myers. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Shade. Any discussion? Hearing none, I assume everyone's voting in the affirmative unless I hear a negative or abstaining. At this time, I'd also like to thank Mr. Evansdale for taking care of the last meeting. I was on vacation with my family, but I did hear the meeting and was able to participate fully. And I thank the board for allowing me to do that with my family. So I apologize for not being here, but it was time well spent. Financial reports, payment of bills. Mrs. Shade, please.
General fund procurement card, $9,791.82. General fund checks, ACH and wires, $3,768,302.76. Special revenue, $2,906.29. Capital reserve fund, $0.00. Cafeteria fund, $133,962.51. Student activities, $32,039.42. Total amount of all funds, $3,947,002.80. Motion to approve the payment of bills as presented.
Thank you, Mrs. Shade, Treasurer. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Myers. Any discussion? Hearing none, I assume we're all voting in affirmative to pay the bills unless I hear a negative or abstain. Moving on to 7B, Treasurer's Fund reports. We as the board and you as the public can look at all those reports there and see them and discuss any information. They are noted for our ability to see them, and if there's any questions, we can go back and look at them. 7C, year-to-date general fund and year-to-date taxes. These are also provided to us to see where we're at on tax collection and fund report. These are also noted at this time, and they're also compared to last year. Budgetary transactions, motion to approve the budgetary transfers for the June 2026 as presented. Do I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Motion, Mr. Meyer. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Shade. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I assume we're all voting in the affirmative in the budget transfers unless I hear a negative or abstaining. Old business. Do we have any old business from the floor? Hearing none, moving into new business. New business personnel action items. Unless there is an objection, we will combine all new business personnel action items listed under number 9 into one motion. That would be 9A through 9E. Some of them are extra duties, some of them are resignations, motions. Do we have any objection of combining them 9A through 9E? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve personnel action items 9A through 9E?
Motion.
Motion, Mr. Myers. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Shane. Any discussions from the floor? Hearing none, I assume we're all voting in the affirmative to approve 9A through 9E. New business action items, recommended approval of updated job descriptions. We have several there: school psychologist, induction coordinator, cross-country course manager, wellness coordinator, administrative assistant to the assistant superintendent, administrative assistant to the curriculum and technology, and human resource coordinator. The administration recommends the Board of School Directors approve the updated job descriptions as presented. Do I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Motion, Mr. Myers. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Shea. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I assume we're all voting in the affirmative on the updated job descriptions unless I hear a negative or abstaining. 10B, recommended approval of curriculum. Mr. Sonata, Director of Curriculum and Instruction, recommended the new and updated curriculum which was presented at the June 22nd board meeting. You can see that there are several of them are from agricultural curriculum. Some of them are from the artificial intelligence, lifelong adventure fitness. On the second page there in our notes, marine and ocean studies, mass media, personal finance, public speaking, small gas engines, statistics, and symphonic winds and wind ensemble, and TV production. These are all courses in the high school, middle school courses. Band has been revised as well as careers in music, which is new. The administration recommends the Board of School Directors approve the new and updated curriculum as presented. Do I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Motion, Mr. Meyer. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Shea. Discussion. I'm thankful for the teachers who spent time putting in to revise these curriculums to improve the courses for our students, and the administration has overseen that. Any other discussion? Hearing none, I assume we're all voting in the affirmative unless I hear a negative or abstaining. Moving on to 10C, administration has reviewed and recommends the following contracts: new story agreement, workforce development with the Carlisle Chamber, psychoeducation agreement with Central Penn Education, Vista District Classrooms, memorandum of understanding with Campbell Psychological, license agreement with Campbell Psychological, and CAIU services agreement for the 26-27 school year as listed. The administration recommends the Board of School Directors approve the agreements as presented. Do I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Motion, Mr. Myers. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Shade. Do we have any discussion?
Yes.
Yes, Mrs. Booth?
I'd like to draw your attention to a few things with the Campbell agreements. First of all, there are two of them. Both of them have language included that imply that they are the only agreement between these parties, which I think was potentially an oversight since we now have two specific agreements going. We had one originally that happened in February, and then after it was looked at a little closer, we added the memorandum of understanding. And now as we're redoing them both at the same time, they both have language in them that states this is the only agreement between these parties, but yet there are two documents. I think that maybe should be addressed. But it was not addressed prior to right now because it looks like what's showing on our website is still has that language. Another interesting thing is that these new agreements now do not include our elementaries. When we approved this last February, they were getting a new therapist to work in two of our elementary schools. At that time, as far as students they were serving, in our middle school, they were serving 4. At Newville, I don't have the number here written down. I think it was, oh, I'm sorry, I did 7 students then. I'm sorry, in the middle school, that was 7 students. I was looking at the wrong line. The high school at that time, they were there 2 days and they had 8 that they were serving, but they still had room for 3 or 4 more students to provide therapy to. And at that time, it was new for Oak Flat and Mount Rock Elementary. Fast forward to the beginning of this year, a lot has changed. Newville apparently had no therapists this year. They went from serving 7 students there last year to no therapists there at all year. Also the middle school, they had served 7 students, now it was only 4. I didn't get an updated number on the high school to know for sure there. But apparently the new therapist that came to Mount Rock and Oak Flat was serving 4 and 6 students. But the decision was made to cancel at the elementary level, which I find interesting. To me, that's probably where the greatest need would be, since the whole point was to give our kiddos what they needed and to allow them to have therapy without missing as much class. And the truth of the matter is, if the student is 14 and over, they are eligible, even through Campbell's on their own website, to have telehealth. If they're younger than that, generally they don't. It's not as easy to get them telehealth appointments. So our high school students and middle school, some, if they're 14 or over, would generally qualify for telehealth appointments. And so the need is less great there. So if this company had gone down in the amount of therapists they could provide us, why did we decide to stop serving the elementary students, where we obviously had a great need? And Newville, we had 7 students last year, and now this year we were unable to serve them at all. And we were very excited to get that started in Mount Rock and Oak Flat last year. And that was this year they did serve 4 and 6, but now next year we're not going to serve them at all. But yet we're going to stay in the high school and middle school. My thoughts are, if they have therapists to offer, wouldn't it be better to offer them to the schools where the children have a harder time doing telehealth, and where they would definitely be pulled out of class and taken to appointments and who knows, Carlisle, Harrisburg, wherever, and miss half the day of school each time they had to go for therapy. So if we were doing this for that reason alone, I think we would have done something different with which group we served. That concerns me. greatly. Another question I had based on our memorandum of understanding is that we may get consent from both school and the company, may get consent from either the student or the parent or the parent. So if the student's 14 or older, we do not have to get consent from the parent. The company does not have to get consent from the parent. But we do have a clause in this statement, in this memorandum of understanding, that the school will have to get permission from the parent for the child to miss class time. And that's obvious because 14-year-olds don't write their own excuses to go to the doctors. They don't decide when they get to leave school on their own. Their parent does. That's the rule for all students. What happens if the parent doesn't give that permission, but the student has? And I haven't gotten a definitive answer on that. And that's a question that's been a question of mine since the very beginning on this. And also, if you would pull up the license agreement and take a look at that, I would just ask if anyone can tell me from number 3 under the use and fee, how much exactly they will be paying us per month. Anybody know what it says?
Without looking, I'm sorry. Without looking back at the document, I can't read that off the top of my head. I did scan over it, but I did not, I don't have that number in front of me. Mr. Shea?
$10 per month, it says.
$10 per
And
month.
what does it say in words prior to the $10
Would you
written
like me
in?
to read it for you?
Yeah.
Number 3, use and fee. The license shall be solely for the use of office space for outpatient mental health services for students at the schools. Licensee shall pay licensor the amount of $1, oh, and then it says $10 per month during the term of this license agreement. Licensee is not the agent, servant.
Do you need me to continue?
I think I see your issue. It says $1 and then it says $10.
The bank wouldn't accept a check like that.
Yeah.
So my concern was this was like private office space. Apparently, though, we do allow other people to use the office space. So when you read the agreements, you would be certain this is private office space with a locked door that only they are allowed to use with a locked cabinet inside. But apparently we allow other places, could use that space for other purposes. Though by reading the agreements, it doesn't seem that way. To me, either $1 or $10 a month to allow a private for-profit company to basically do business and get referrals from our school. It's an inadequate amount for any office space that's heated, well cared for, cleaned. $100 a month for each office that they have is still cheap. So I'm not sure if we're giving our taxpayers the best deal here. So I would propose that we change that amount to a more reasonable amount. If anyone has any suggestions on that. And perhaps this needs tabled for more looking at the language that's in these contracts.
Thank you, Mrs. Booth. Any action from other board members? We have a motion to second on the floor to approve the contracts. We could table them until the next meeting. Dr. Grante, when does their services start? They would start first day of school possibly?
Yes, that's correct. I think the things that we have to be mindful of are other providers of services within the district. Physical providers, people that come in and do physicals for us, dental services. They would fall under this umbrella too. So I would hope that we would be uniform and equal to all service providers. The other thing is I brought an organization to the board's attention that did teletherapy. There was a consortium agreement within the Capital Area Intermediate Unit. And that was not acceptable because teletherapy was not something that was feasible in terms of a service and how that modality was exercised. And I do have those communications that I could refresh people's memory back in the spring. So I just think we have to be mindful of fairness, equity, and make sure that we're not doing anything that could be pigeonholed to one individual.
I can say personally, and this wasn't for therapy, this was for, my wife had a doctor's appointment today with John Hopkins at 9:15 this morning. And at the end of the $80 charge for 8 minutes of doctor time, even though the doctor we know very well, and she was very good, was almost useless. My wife got off and she said, we need to drive to Johns Hopkins for our appointment. And so even though it was face to face, online, with a computer, it was not effective. So sometimes visits, I think, can be helpful, but personally, in my case today, it was not. So a 14-year-old, would that work for them? I guess that to be seen. The office that is used by this individual, we have one in the middle school, one in the high school. Is that correct, Dr. Bronte?
That's correct.
And that office is available for other people to use. It is locked and it is private, but it is available for others to use if the need arises by the principal of the building.
That's correct. It has a locked cabinet in there. The outdoor lock can be locked as well, but it can be universally used.
So Campbell Psychological might be here. I'm just asking 2 days a week, maybe. We don't know.
It's based on student needs, student schedule, and therapist availability here.
Okay.
I have.
Go ahead, Mr. Shea.
I understand what Mrs. Booth is saying about the use and fee. I'm not a big fan of charging more than $1 or $10. This is a service that we're providing to the students. This is a convenience, this is an ease, and it just seems making money on something like this just doesn't feel right to me. So I'm not big on that idea, but I do think that perhaps this needs to be fixed where the $1, $10 is confusing. That's just my thought.
Any other comments from board members?
Mr. Corbin.
Who's choosing to remove the elementary services? Is that Campbell or is that the school?
That was Campbell based on the therapists and individuals that are able to serve the district.
So the district is not the ones that are requesting to remove the services.
That's correct.
Okay.
It's based on the number of individuals she has to service the district.
Between the district and
Mr. Corman?
For once, I'm actually gonna agree with Lisa. I mean, if it's so important that we get these kids the services they need, and the school doesn't want to charge more than $1 or $10, then I think the nonprofit group should volunteer their time for the students also. If it's more about the students than it is the profit, that should be a thing.
Yes, go ahead.
We'll say from Campbell's website, their fees are, now insurance does kick in, but if you look up what Medicaid or Medicare pays for a therapy session, it's around $165. And also when you look at Campbell's website, their intake appointment, which would be the first appointment, is $225. And then from there, their appointment fee is $165 for a 45-minute session. And I guess I have a question for Dr. Ferrante that he said that we have other organizations or groups coming in here that would be in the same category, such as dentists and doctors. I'm curious who those would be. Because the only ones I know of are contracts with physicians that we pay them to see our students, and they're not also getting $165 a pop for a 45-minute session. Is there someone that I'm unaware of that's coming in that you're referring to?
We have Hamilton Health on site for dental for students.
Right, and we pay for those appointments, for those checkups. Except for if they are going to then need further care, then they would go to Hamilton Health, but we don't have a dental office per se set up in our schools at all times, in a private office with a locked door and a locked cabinet for them.
They would use designated space. That's correct. They would use a designated space because they have the equipment that they store in there.
Weekly.
That would be, it would be systemically, it would be throughout the year based on when the dental exams have to be provided for students. But it wouldn't be weekly. It
What
would be.
grades are those? Grade gets that, isn't it just third grade and seventh grade or something?
It's spread out. I won't be able to tell you what the number of grades are. Maybe four grades.
But that's a service we pay for as a school, so our students can meet that need, rather than.
It's a service that's offered.
And it's,
I wouldn't be able to confirm that we pay for it, but it's a service that we offer.
we have a contract with them
Yes,
as well.
yeah. But if they need additional dental services, they can seek those out on site.
So we are at a motion, a second to vote on these two contracts with Campbell as well as the other items that is recommended. Do I have a motion to do otherwise?
Sorry, one more question.
What?
Yes, Mr. Brown.
Sorry, one more question. I'm not a contract expert, so please forgive my ignorance here. Number two is the license term. Licensee shall have the right to use the licensed area for mutually agreed upon hours of the day, of the week, when school. The license shall also have the right to use the licensed area outside of school hours as may be mutually agreed upon the parties. What kind of work are they doing outside of school hours?
That would be summertime.
I'm sorry.
Summertime.
Summer. Oh, okay, so we still provide the service during the summertime.
If they're sought out, yes.
Okay, thank you for the clarification. And that's still. Is there any other staff required on site, any kind of district staff, or is it just the?
It all and logistically has to be worked out that, yes. That's a barrier based on the time of the year.
Gotcha, thank you. Thank you for the clarification.
Okay, are we ready to vote on the motion? Yes, Mr.
Yes, just the fee, the correction to the fee, $1 or $10. What is it supposed to be?
I believe $10 is what it's supposed to be.
So the one should be changed to, the word one should be changed to TEN 10.
Yes, and that's a change that can be made.
Would you like to make that as an amendment, Mr. PC?
I would, yes.
Okay, we have an amendment on the floor to adjust the Campbell psychological from just $1, omitting one and changing it to 10. Is that correct, Mr. PC?
Yes.
Do I have a second to the amendment?
I'll second that.
Second by Mr. Shade. Any discussion on the fee, erasing 1 and making it 10? Hearing none. All those in favor of approving a revised $10 and erasing the 1 in the contract, I assume you're all voting in the affirmative unless I hear a negative or abstaining. Okay, so now we'll move back to the original motion, which is to approve these two contracts. I think with the discussion this evening, Campbell realizes that we are looking at their contracts in detail and may make some changes. But at this point, we would be approving them and eliminating the 1 and the 10, which passed as an amendment. Is there any other discussion?
Sorry, Mr. Wardle, you'd be approving an additional list of agreements, not just the two.
Yes.
Right. Yes, thank you for the correction. We'd be approving the entire list, New Story down through CAIU, including the 2 Campbell agreements, with the 1 change to the Campbell to $10. Any other discussion?
I'd like to make a motion to table the 2 Campbell agreements so they can be combined. The license, the information in both that states that that is the only agreement between the 2 parties can be adjusted.
Okay, that would be an amendment motion to combine the 2 bullets between Campbell into 1 contract. Do I have a second to that amendment?
Second.
Okay,
I'm sorry, did she say table or amend?
Table them until they can be amended.
okay, so the motion is to table the 2 Campbell contracts until they can be combined. Is that correct, Mrs. Booth?
Yes.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor to pull out and table the 2 Campbell contracts until they can be amended into 1 or combined into 1 and then brought back to the board for approval. We had a motion and a second on the table of the 2 Campbells. Do we have other discussion?
I have a question.
Yes, Mr. Shade.
If we were to approve these as they are now, can we amend them later? I mean, is there some stipulation in the contract saying that we can't?
You can approve them with
We could approve them and
stipulations.
Make an amendment later.
You could say I'm
That would
approving
be-
one and the other and I'm striking that last sentence. We've done that before as a team.
Can the solicitor give us the reasoning between why there are 2, why we have a memorandum of understanding and a license agreement? Is there an issue with that?
I think, thank you. I think the memorandum of understanding provides the 26-27 mental health program, and the license agreement amends the February 18, 2025 agreement by removing 3 of the elementary schools. So I think one goes back to the 25 license organization. So the other one reflects what it is you're currently doing for the 26-27 school year.
Yeah, they work with one.
I
Okay.
think that's the reasoning behind it.
And Dr. Garland, correct me if I'm wrong, and also our solicitor, this does not preclude us from somebody else coming in and saying they may want to provide services to our elementary schools.
It does not preclude you.
Yeah, someone else could provide mental health and provide more with a contract. And we could possibly use them if the need arises and
Amazing, great
we
psychology.
want to have them work with our students.
It's not exclusive.
Correct. Okay, so the amendment on the floor is to table, or the motion on the floor, excuse me, is to table the two Campbell's issues until a later date. Is there any more discussion? So if you vote in the affirmative, when I say, assume everyone's voting in the affirmative, then you're agreeing to table. If you vote no verbally, then you'll be voting not to table, and they would go back to the original motion, which is to approve all the agreements. Does everybody understand what they're voting?
Yes.
Okay, so I assume that everyone is voting in affirmative to table the two mental health agreements with Campbell, unless I hear a negative or abstaining.
No.
No.
I hear one no, two no,
No.
three no. Any more no's? Mrs. Milan, are you with us? No. So 3 no's. And I assume the rest are voting affirmative. Because it seems like we're in an impasse, I can only make or break a tie. So I'm going to vote no also, because these have been looked at by the solicitor and administrative. So that makes it a tie. So that means that no action will occur and it will not be tabled.
Point of order.
Yes.
So Julie, Ben, me, and David is 4-3.
But
By
I
you
voted
voting, you would create a tie.
correct.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm correct. I'm creating a tie. So either we need to have a new motion or amendment or something, because no decision has been made. So I have done correct in the parliamentary procedure. No, that's incorrect. The president has the right under parliamentary procedure, Robert Rules of Order, to either make or break a tie. Yes.
He is absolutely correct on that, but I just wanted to prove to everybody that the president of the board does vote, and that statement that was made that he only votes to break ties, or he only votes for the majority, was incorrect.
Mr. King, was I correct in what we did?
Yes, the president has a vote on every motion, and however you want to look at it, it's just fine, but the president can vote on any motions. I think you're both right.
So we're not in an impasse. We're just going back to the agreements. If another motion wants to be made, then people will vote again. Contract is for 1 year.
And we can amend it whenever.
You cannot.
Mr. King, am I correct to say that we're going back to the agreements and the original motion that was made?
Yes,
Okay,
yes, sir.
so we are at a place where we have the agreements there. No action has been taken with the Campbells. We can have another motion, or we can vote on them as the motion and second was approved.
Mr. President.
Yes.
I'd like to point out at the bottom of the memorandum of understanding, it specifically states that the agreement may not, between the parties, may not be amended except in writing by both parties, which would imply that we cannot just amend it whenever we choose.
Well, the goal there would be to amend it, Mr. Fisher, and then if it's not acceptable, it doesn't happen. That makes sense?
Correct, I understand that. I'm just simply stating.
No, you're
I
correct.
heard the statement, we
Yeah.
can amend it whenever, and that's not correct. We have to have writing.
Well, we can amend it whenever we want. It's whether the other party accepts it, and if the other party accepts it,
Then it
good.
would amend it.
If the other party does not accept it, it doesn't happen.
Correct. Which means the amendment would not go into effect unless it's accepted by the vote. Right.
Yeah, we would just be taking care of our business, so to speak, tonight.
I understand.
So do I have any other motions or amendments to the approving the list of agreements as presented?
I got one more question.
Yes, Mr. Palmer.
and this is for Donna. Donna, did we ever pass the amendment to make sure the writing was changed to $10?
Yes, we did.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I
That
just wanted to
was-
make
that
sure we
was
passed that
changed.
at least.
Yeah, that,
That carried unanimously.
Yes.
yes.
Yes, with no votes.
Okay, so we're back to the motion, unless I hear any other motions or amendments.
Motion to separate those two agreements from the list under 10C and vote on them separately, please.
Okay, I have a motion to separate out the two for Campbell Psychological out. Do I have a second?
Second,
From property moved and second to remove the two off of the list and then vote on the rest of the list separately. Do I have any discussion? Hearing none, I assume we're all voting the affirmative to remove those two out and vote on the other ones separately. We're not voting on the other ones, we're just voting to remove the two. I assume we're all voting the affirmative to do that. Is that correct? Assume everyone's voting in the affirmative.
No.
I have one no, any other? Okay, then the motion passes. So we're removing the two out. We'll go back to the original list of 1, 2, 3, 4, skip 5 and 6 bullet and go to 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 7. At this time, we will, is there any discussion? Hearing none, I assume we're all voting the affirmative to approve bullets 1, 2, 3, 4, and 7, unless I hear a negative or abstain. Okay, those are approved. Donna, are we good?
We are, give me 1 second though to catch up.
Very good. So we still have outstanding the Campbell Associates, both the license and the memorandum of understanding. Do I have a motion to approve those as presented?
Yes.
Mr. Myers approves them as presented. Do I have a second? Second, Mr. Shade. Do I have more discussion?
Yes. I would like to address something Dr. Grante said. He mentioned a contract that was brought to us in the spring and implied how he remembers that going in the emails. Those are very good emails. That contract is referring to was with a company called Cartwheel. In that contract, so I don't know if anyone of you are familiar with the medical field. John, you say you are. When a doctor generally refers a patient to another practice, they sometimes get a little money back for making those referrals. Often I think it happens with dentist office and they say, oh, go get your teeth checked out by the orthodontist and they get a little kickback. I mean, I think you're probably aware of how that works. In the Cartwheel contract, we as a school, we're going to be referring patients to Cartwheel. Though in this contract, we were pre-purchasing the ability to make referrals where they claim they would not put a child on a wait list most of the time. But if you read the contract, they still could, and it still might take a couple of weeks to get them in with a telehealth provider. I've never expressed that there's any issue with telehealth providers. In fact, I offered a long list of telehealth providers that I found that you could simply go right online. I could have made an appointment for my child that right away. I could have picked the date and time that we would have had our first appointment. They, as in my words in the email, they are cropping up like dandelions. These services are very available online now. Not every child, particularly the elementary level, are not good candidates for that, but the older students often can take advantage of that. Now, the Cartwheel agreement was very different. We were pre-purchasing referrals. I think the number was 15 or 20, let's say. I can't remember exactly. What I do know is we were buying the opportunity to refer to them at over $600 a pop. And all of the patients we referred to them, so they could then further make money off of them, had to have insurance, except for one. We could refer one patient that didn't have insurance for like $15,000-ish. And I think it was $600-ish a person. We were paying them in advance, whether we did or did not come up with the patients to refer in that time frame ahead of time. I've never heard of such a preposterous thing in my life, but that's what we were gonna do. But it was okay because it was federal money, so we didn't care. But I did. And so I said, this is absurd, and looked quickly and found a whole long list of mental health providers that provided telehealth that could get your child in quicker than they were guaranteeing us for. I mean, I could come up with a contract, I could sell the school to guarantee I could bring them fresh water if the water stopped coming out the faucets. That's what they were guaranteeing us, essentially. So I decided that I pointed that out. I think the agreement with the logic was pretty obvious because that was the last I heard of that. I just wanted to point out, this is very different than that. So that's not the same, and I never said that telehealth, mental health services was my problem with that. That we were paying $600 a kid in advance. That was the problem.
Okay, thank you for that information. We're back to the two items. Do we want to take any action, or there is no action taken at this time? We had a motion and a second. Is that correct, Donna? To approve the two for Campbell?
Not catch if that was seconded.
Mr. Myers, you had made a motion to approve,
I
and
did not hear that.
Mr. Shade, did you second? Okay. So we have a motion to second to approve the memorandum of understanding with Campbell and the license agreement with the one being changed to 10. Am I correct on that?
Yes, you already approved the 1 to 10.
Okay.
Yes.
So now I'll
Now
take
you're-
any other discussion or table or amendments, or we vote.
Just to confirm, the license agreement is separate. That there's a reason for that. Because it's a different school year. It's,
Well, I think they called it a license agreement.
I think it has to do with the facility use, and that has to be changed because the elementaries are not part of the.
Should be at least $107.
Correct.
Dr. Brunson discussed this in the past. I would have called it a lease, but they called it a license agreement. So, you know, if it looks like a duck and it walks like a duck, it's probably a duck. So the license agreement is really a lease.
And-
so the lease, what the lease follows is their plan for the coming school year.
Yeah, which
To not
facilities?
service those.
Yeah, which facilities?
So you wouldn't approve one without the other. You would,
Correct.
these two things go together.
Yeah.
If you're gonna have Campbell do this, they wanna do it without providing service to these elementaries. And if you're not gonna provide service to the elementaries, you don't need a lease for rooms in those elementary schools.
And the previous agreed upon license agreement had the elementary schools listed.
Right.
so can I ask Mrs. Booth again what her worry is with why we should table them? What the difference would be if we tabled them or just approved them tonight? I need more clarity on that. I'm not
I
understanding.
have an issue with the $10.
My issue is the language, which it does appear similarly on both. I'll read you the one that I have pulled up on the license agreement. It says under number 10, entire agreement. This license constitutes the entire agreement between the parties with respect to the use of licensed area, not to say with respect to the use of licensed area. Neither this license nor any of its provisions may be changed, waived, discharged, or terminated orally, but only by an instrument of writing signed by the parties. My concern is that the other one also says something to the same effect, that this agreement is the only agreement between these parties. Neither document addresses the fact that we have a separate agreement with them, but they both imply that this is the only agreement between the two parties. I think it's an oversight. We originally had done them separately. I think they could probably be together. I also agree that the fact that it says lease agreement, but it's really actually, or it says license agreement, but it's really actually like lease agreement is a problem.
Yes, Mr. Meyer.
Mr. King, isn't the bottom line that tells us from you that this is okay the way it is?
It's,
It's the two go together.
yes, the bottom line is, one is the lease agreement, that talks about the use of the offices in the building. The other one talks about the program. So I do agree that, ideally, they would be together. But I don't think that it certainly doesn't negate the ability, neither agreement negates the ability to do the other one. One talks about using certain offices in the premises, the other talks about a program. So when the clause that Mrs. Booth was referring to is very common in contracts. It's an integration clause. And what it says is this agreement is the entire agreement with respect to the subject of this particular contract. So the subject of the contract of the license agreement is the lease. And the subject of the 26-27 school year agreement is the provision of the services. Ideally, they would both be in the same one, but having them in two separate agreements, although awkward, is not inconsequential.
Doesn't mean anything, right? No, it doesn't mean anything, but yeah, it's just an oversight.
Okay, we're back. We had a motion and a second to approve these two, one, the memorandum of understanding, and two, the license agreement. Do I have any other motions, amendments?
Motion to amend the fee under the license agreement to $100 a month. We're talking about two separate office spaces that are provided whenever they want them. They're locked, they're cleaned, they can even use them in the summertime, and they will make that up in one appointment.
Okay, do I have a second to changing 10 to 100 a month?
Second.
Properly moved in second that we would amend the motion, the agreements to make $10 now $100 per month. And is that, I have a question, is that for each office?
Did we agree upon?
How does it read now? It reads now as though it's total. So I would say it's still just total.
Total, okay, thank you for that clarification. So changing $10 per month during the term of the license agreement to now $100 per month to use those office spaces. Do I have a second? I did. Do I have more discussion?
My concern with that is it's like a slippery slope with other contracts that we have. I would want to see the other contracts that we have with other spaces that are rented out. I don't want to put us in a bind. That's my only concern. I understand what you mean by that, but without looking at everything, I can't.
Yeah.
Well, that's the problem is that we don't have a list, so I can't make a judgment based on no information.
Thank you, Mr. Eversted.
What happens if they say no? What if they disagree? We lose the service.
Correct. They could reject the agreement.
They already knocked our services off for our elementary schools, so, and that was where it was most needed, it seemed.
Yeah, the motion is second to change the 10 to 100. Do I have any more discussion? If you vote in the affirmative, then you're voting yes and changing it. If you vote no, then you would not be voting to change it. It would go back to the $10, which was the amendment. Anybody have a question on how they're voting? All those in favor of changing it from 10 to 100? I assume we're voting in the affirmative unless I hear a negative or abstain.
No.
I hear 3 no's. Are there other no's? I will also vote no. I do not feel that we should overcharge for resources that we have. And my rationale is I think they would just pass that on to the students and the families. So now we're back to a 4-4 decision.
Now you're back to the original motion.
Correct. Yes.
So their fees already have their current office space calculated in. So they didn't change their fee structure for us giving them a break on how much a new office space for them would be. So I would disagree with that statement.
But they voted, they expected to only have to pay $10. We're now telling them it's $100. So they're going to pay $1,200 a year instead of $120. So they're going to charge more because they just increased their value $1,100.
And we're giving them an office space that they can use.
We were before.
And then I personally had issues with it before. I think I voted no the last time.
Okay. So we're going back to the main motion at this time, which was to approve the contracts. There was no decision made to change it from 10 to 100.
Okay.
Do I have any other discussion? Hearing none, I assume everyone's voting the affirmative to approve the contract and the license agreement unless I hear a negative or abstain.
No.
No.
I hear 1 no, 2, 3, 4. Mr. King, point of order, am I able to table a motion as president?
The motion just failed.
Well, I didn't vote. Yeah,
Oh, you didn't vote?
I'm asking a clerical question. As president, do I have to recluse myself from the chair to be able to table a motion?
You can make a motion to table at any time.
As
It's
president?
non-debatable and you can make it at any time.
Okay. I'm gonna vote no, and now I'm going to table, have a motion to table this, until it can be looked at further by our solicitor and also, Dr. Grante. Do I have a second to my table?
Second.
Point of order.
Yes.
You just voted no, so you closed the whole thing.
No, it would have been neutral. We didn't vote. We didn't make a decision.
Then the motion fails. You should have made the table before you voted no. Would that be correct, King?
Well, so I'm not sure where Mr. Wardle wants this to go, but you can make a motion to send it back to the solicitor and the superintendent, or make a motion to do almost anything you want at this point. Whether it's to table it or not, doesn't matter. What did you have in mind, Mr. Wardle?
My concern is we spent almost an hour on this topic, and I think we need to move along with other school business. And to move us forward, I think we need more clarification from both you, the solicitor, and our superintendent, and maybe Campbell would like to enter in also. And I'd like to table this until we have a chance to think about it and move forward.
I think it is on the table now because it's defeated, but you could make a motion to refer this back to Dr. Bronte and myself to discuss it with Campbell and come back to the board with this one. That would be the same effect of tabling it.
Okay. I can do that, or does any member want to refer it to committee at this time?
Go ahead.
Okay, I will make a motion to refer this to a committee so that we can move forward to Dr. Bronte and our solicitor and also Campbell until we get more information. Do I have a second to that?
Second.
It's been properly moved in second. Do I have any more discussion?
I have a point of clarification, please. I'd just like to clarify on the main motion, we had 4 no's and then you voted no. And so the main motion failed. And now, not just for secretary's point of view and the recording secretary's point of view. And now we are making a separate motion related to this item to have it go back to the superintendent and the solicitor. Is that correct?
Correct. All my goal is to move forward with other business. And it seems like there's a lot of contention about this issue. So as president, and we have 1 member absent, I am trying to get us to a point that we can move forward because we seem to be at somewhat an impasse and being fair to everyone.
So that would be done. We did already fail, the motion failed. And we
Right.
moved it forward.
Yes,
So. the only
but there was
holdback now
no,
is-
there was no action. My point is there was no action after it failed. So the action should be that it's
And then we
reviewed.
move to the next item, generally, that's how it would go. So the holdup at this point is the new motion that you just made. We
Okay.
Generally move on to the next item. I mean, I'm just pointing out the fact here.
Does anyone else feel that I am wrong to make a motion to refer?
I would agree with Mrs. Booth. Typically a motion fit, I'm sorry.
Typically when a motion fails, and what we did with the last couple of times we tried to table it, when we had a tie, it failed, we moved on. And so I would agree with Mrs. Booth in that statement.
Anyone else want to comment?
I agree with consistency, and there was gonna be no tabling after several of the motions failed previously, so let's keep it consistent.
Okay, I will remove my motion of table. If someone else wants to make a motion, fine. If not, we'll move ahead. Okay, moving on to the agenda, the 2 items from Campbell were not passed this evening. Recommended approval of capital project payments, 10D. The following invoices for security camera replacement project were approved at the April 20th, 2026 meeting and are presented for payment within the general fund from the assigned fund balance and capital projects. B&H Photo, there were several there. The following invoices for the stadium press box and console work are presented for payment. Wolf Consulting Engineers. And the following invoice for Burke repointing that was approved at the April 20th, 2026 meeting, structural restoration services for $59,000. The administration recommends the Board of School Directors approve the capital project payments as presented. Do I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Motion, Mr. Myers, do I have a second? Second, Mr. Shade, any discussion?
Real quick, what's the total amount that we've spent on this press box so far? Do we have that just random?
Yeah,
numbers?
the purchase of the actual box, and this cost here for the engineering fees up until this point.
And we still don't know how much the whole total project is gonna cost us.
So what we're working on, yeah, we're trying to make sure that it's as economical as possible.
I appreciate that, just bringing that back up, that it still don't have a total cost of what the project.
Correct.
is.
And we don't have a box up there and it's not gonna be up in football season.
Right, okay, thank you very much, appreciate it.
Any other discussion on these invoices? Hearing none, I assume we're all voting in affirmative to pay these unless I hear a negative or abstain.
Sorry, one more question. I didn't get a chance to look at the football field, is the box here or no?
No, we do not have.
At any point in time, do we have to start paying rental fees or any kind of fees to the company that the box is at,
No.
picking up room at their storage facility or anything? Okay, sorry for the clarification, thank you.
I assume we're all voting in affirmative of these invoices unless I hear a negative or abstain. Moving on to 10E, recommended approval of amendment. Dr. Reed, Student Services, has reviewed the best interest determination and transportation procedures plan between Big Spring District and the Cumberland County Children and Youth Agency. The administration recommends the Board of School Directors approve the amendment as presented. Do I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Motion, Mr. Myers. Do I have a second? Second, Mr. Shade. Any discussion? Hearing none, I assume everyone's voting in the affirmative unless I hear a negative or abstain. 10F, recommended approval of tuition waivers. We have many students that want to come here and their parents want to bring them here. They work in our district. You can see them listed there. This is an opportunity for the parents to work here and their students to attend. The administration recommends the Board of School Directors approve the tuition waiver exemption as presented. Do I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Motion, Mr. Myers. Do I have a second? Second, Mr. Shade. Any discussion? Hearing none, I assume everyone's voting in the affirmative of the tuition waiver unless I hear a negative or abstain. 10G, recommended approval of student handbooks for the 26-27 school year. The administration has prepared, updated the elementary, the middle, and the high school student handbooks as Bulldog Student Cyber Academy and the student parent handbook for the athletic department guidelines for the 26-27 school year, which have been reviewed by the Assistant Superintendent, Dr. Nadine Sanders, and are presented for the board for approval. The administration recommends the Board of School Directors approve the updated handbooks and athletic department guidelines as presented. Do I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Motion, Mr. Myers. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Shade. Any discussion? Hearing none, I assume we're all voting in favor to approve the student handbooks for the 26-27 school year, unless I hear a negative or abstain. 10H, recommended approval of the agreement with Blue Cap Services. The administration reviewed the student transportation contract with Blue Cap Services as an alternate option to provide transportation for students with specialized school placements. This agreement has been reviewed by the district solicitor. The administration recommends the Board of School Directors approve the agreement as presented. Do I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Motion, Mr. Myers. Do I have a second? Second, Mr. Shade. Any discussion? Hearing none, I assume we're all voting in the affirmative unless I hear a negative or abstain. 10I, High School TSI Non-Title I School Plan, as required by the Department of Education and State Board of Regulations. The Board of Education for the Big Spring School District must review and approve the 26-27 Big Spring High School TSI Non-Title I School Plan, presented this evening by Dr. Carnes, our high school principal. He answered several questions and clarifications. The administration recommends the Board of School Directors approve the 26-27 plan as presented. Do I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Motion, Mr. Myers. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Shade. Is there any discussion? Yes. Yes, Seth.
I just want to thank Dr. Carnes for coming in and presenting to us tonight. I think when he left, we did not clap for him like we usually do for everybody else. So I just wanted to make a special point to say thank you to him for presenting and providing all the information he did to us tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Bond. Point well taken. Any other discussion? Hearing none, I assume we're all voting in the affirmative for the TSI Title I school plan for the high school unless I hear a negative or abstaining. 10J, authorization and participation. Mr. Penner, Director of Athletics and Student Activities, received a request for a homeschool resident student independently participating in PIAA girls tennis through the Big Spring School District with the understanding the family will provide a coach and all transportation to and from tennis matches. The administration recommends the Board of School Directors approve the request for an independent PIAA participation as presented. Do I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Motion, Mr. Myers. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mrs. Shea. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, Mr.
Yes,
Foreman.
Mr. Foreman.
I have a question here quick too. So does that mean the student is just using the Big Spring School District's name or Big Spring High School or whatever?
Yes.
whatever
That's correct.
And that doesn't open us for insurance or liability, or they're just literally wearing a Bulldog uniform.
Correct.
Because they're high school.
We need to approve the coach.
I think.
Yeah,
that-
once the coach is decided upon, we're going in sequential order.
Yes.
First, we're going to authorize participation.
Yes.
They'll have to come back and you'll have to, speaking of liability,
Yeah.
you'll have to approve the coach, whoever it is.
And they'll go through all the background checks and everything
Correct. They'll have
required
to
as
comply with
that.
But a homeschooled student under Pennsylvania law has a right to participate in a sport such as tennis.
Yeah,
And
we haven't.
you could also have
participated in
other
that.
students on it. If you have a tennis team, you could also have other students on it.
And they're required to do all their own transportation and everything.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Just for clarification.
Yep.
Well, I don't know if mom's allowed to drive or drive the coach. I just want to make sure everything's good. That's the first time being on the board that I've ran into this situation. So
They have to
just
follow the rules,
clarification.
they follow the same rules, but they have the right to do it.
The other thing that enables the student, and I had several of these as a coach, and we also had several at Bermudian, was the student now has a school to represent. So they can move ahead in competition, they can move ahead in the participation, they can compete with other schools as opposed to just a student off the street, let's say. They now have a connection and someone that's supporting them. Any other discussion? I
Right
assume-
here.
Yes,
Mr. Corman does.
Mr. Corman, excuse me.
Mine's not primarily a question about this, but is this the first tennis player Big Spring has ever had?
No,
I'm
No.
gonna say-
Mike was, or Mr. Steele was.
no, I think there was just a year ago or 2 years ago,
Yeah.
we had,
I can't remember the year, but this is not the first one.
All right, so we've had other tennis
Correct.
players. This is not the first.
Mhm.
So, but I've never remembered any other tennis player for Big Spring, so I wanted to point out that
I believe one went to states. Or
Do they
something.
get their picture in the yearbook too then? Being an independent homeschooled student?
They could.
That could be a good way to maybe bring them back into the school district themselves. Like, look at the community, you give them a yearbook and, oh, look at all these other activities we could engage in.
That's right.
Mhm.
So maybe we could, further down the road, we make sure we include them in the yearbook as well in the sports section.
Well, you can be a homeschool student and still play football.
Well, no, I understand that, but encouraging them, oh, here's a yearbook with my picture in it as the sense of community and belonging to a school, bring them back into the school district itself.
There's pictures.
Any other discussion?
I have a comment,
Yes, Mrs. Booth?
kind of a concern and a bit of a word of warning. This student not actually attending school here. Under PIAA rules, if a student comes and plays a sport here for a year of high school and then moves schools and begins to or wants to play a sport then for their new school. So if the student would then go to a private Catholic school, for example, and they had already played a sport under Big Spring, they could be put under question for if they moved to that school, possibly for the reasons of sport.
PIAA.
Due to the PIAA rules. So it's almost a word of warning that if this student or any student decides to play sports here, we have taken time, money, employee hours to investigate and keep the child from playing a sport in another school. So I would say that's just a word of warning. That's a reality.
I think it does not affect ninth grade, but it affects 10th, 11th, and 12th. Am I correct, Dr. Grant?
Yeah, I mean, one of the variables that would be argued in that particular case would, we don't have a tennis team.
Right.
Right. Yep.
Okay. Thank you, Mrs. Booth. Any other discussion on authorization to participate in girls tennis? Hearing none, I assume we're all voting in the affirmative for the homeschool students to participate under the Big Spring name unless I hear a negative or abstain. 10K, recommended approval of athletic membership renewals, PI District 3 Athletic Directors Association for a cost of $20, Pennsylvania State Athletic Directors Association for $50, and National Interscholastic Athletic Administration Association cost of $100. The administration recommends the Board of School Directors approve the membership renewals as presented. Do I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Motion, Mr. Myers. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mrs. Shade. Any discussion?
Question?
Yes.
Is it typical for, under our contracts with either administration, which in this case is the case here, or with other staff, that we would, as a school district, use taxpayer dollars to pay for more than one professional membership to an organization?
That would depend on the need. So these three things are distinctly separate categories under the same umbrella.
And these all three are ones that they've paid for in the past?
Correct.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, I assume we're all voting in the affirmative to approve the memberships into the three organizations unless I hear a negative or abstain.
No.
10L. Recommended approval of athletic sponsors. Mr. Penna, Director of Athletics and Student Activities, requests the approval of the following athletic sponsors. Gregory Myers Masonry, Allen Rose Custom Work, Petty Flooring and Remodeling, Piper Advertising, and Blue Mountain Excavating. The Board of Administration recommends the Board of School Directors approve the athletic sponsors as presented. Do I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Motion, Mr. Myers. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mrs. Shade. Any other discussion? I would just like to publicly thank these companies for coming forward and willing to support our athletics. There's different levels of support. Is that correct, Dr. Durante? Some of these might be banners, some of them might be on the board at the gym, whatever, but each of these companies, as well as all the other ones that we currently have, are supporting our students. We provide their advertising, but they provide financial funds for us.
Correct.
Any other discussion? Do we have a motion to approve these? We did? Thank you.
Second.
Thank you.
Just need to-
Any other discussion? Hearing none, I assume we're all voting to approve these athletic sponsors unless I hear a negative or abstain. 10M, recommended approval of fundraisers. We can see a whole list there. I do feel it's important to highlight sub and pizza sale for the band boosters, whoopie pies for the band boosters, second annual bingo at Penn Township Fire Hall, November 15th for the band boosters. Marina's Sub and Pizza Sale, Band Boosters, Battle of the Springs Car Wash, benefit the Dog Pound, that's on September 3rd. Bouquet Bar at the Homecoming Flower Bouquets to benefit the Dog Pound, there for homecoming. Pink Out on October 16th to raise funds for the Dog Pound to donate to cancer. Holiday Cookie Competition, I assume you all have the big cookies, on December 26th to benefit the Dog Pound. Valentine Candygrams to benefit the Dog Pound, and lastly, Sunset at the Stadium on May 27th to benefit the Dog Pound and additional participation in clubs. The administration recommends the Board of School Directors approve the fundraisers as presented. Do I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Motion, Mr. Myers. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mrs. Shade. Any discussion? Hearing none, I assume everyone's voting in the affirmative unless I hear a negative or abstain. 10N, recommended approval of utilization. Jason Zimmerman, on behalf of the Big Spring Youth Soccer Association, is requesting use of the high school soccer fields number 5 and 6 from August 23rd until November 15th for soccer games. Because the utilization request includes Sundays, board action is necessary. Do I have the administration recommends the Board of School Directors approve utilization request as presented. Do I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Motion, Mr. Myers. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Shade. Do I have any discussion? Hearing none, I assume we're all voting in favor to approve utilization for the Youth Soccer Association, unless I hear a negative or abstain. 10O, recommended approval of technology equipment disposal. We have a list there of technology. It's a summary of electronic recyclables consisting of old laptops, desktops, Chromebooks, miscellaneous hardware, and cabling that has been decommissioned over the past year. There is no cost to the district based upon the scrap value. A payment may be remitted to the district for any equipment with residual value. The administration recommends the Board of School Directors approve the request to dispose of the equipment as presented in policy 706.1. Do I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Motion, Mr. Meyer. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Shea. Is there any discussion? Yes, Mr. Corman.
At the end of there, it says all hard drives will be wiped and the district will be provided a certificate of destruction for record keeping. To me, that says that we're not doing the wiping, the business is doing the wiping. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Thank you, Mr. Corman. Any other discussion? I assume everyone's voting in the affirmative to dispose of the technology equipment unless I hear negative or abstain. 10B, recommend approval of transportation software and features agreement with Tyler Technologies. As of the June 22nd, 26th board meeting, the Board of School Directors approved a sales quote with Tyler Technologies for the addition of transportation tablets installed in the buses and the MyRide app software. This agreement to the sales quote, Tyler Technologies is requiring the district to sign the attached agreement. This agreement has been reviewed by the district solicitor. The administration recommends the Board of School Directors approve the agreement as presented. Do I have a motion to approve this?
Motion.
Motion, Mr. Myers. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Shade. This will help us in knowing where buses are, where those buses are in their route. It helps drivers be able to know the route if we have a substitute driver. It also keeps some safety in mind for our students with the MyRide app. Dr. Grante, we will own the tablets, is that correct?
I have to look at the specifics of that language, but yes, we are purchasing them.
Right. My thought was if we would ever change a bus company or something or purchase whatever, that the tablets would be ours to then redistribute possibly.
We have 4 more years on this contract and you know how quickly
Right.
tablets become obsolete.
Yes, you're right. Okay. Thank you. Any other discussion on the software and agreement on the tablets? Hearing none, I assume we're all voting in the affirmative unless I hear a negative or abstaining. Recommended approval 10Q of 25-26 engagement letter with Boyer and Ritter to perform our local audit, including the single audit attached is the engagement letter. The administration recommends the approval of the 25-26 engagement letter with Boyer and Ritter to perform the annual audit. Do I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Motion, Mr. Myers. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Shade. Is there any discussion? Yes, Mrs. Booth.
I would just like to point out that I really appreciate Boyer and Ritter and what they've already done for the district so far. As we were preparing for the budget this year, I was reviewing some of our old audits and I discovered something that was concerning and conflicting with an error that had been corrected in a prior year, ended up being on the final report from SEK. And we had, thankfully, after explaining it, we had Boyer look at that and realized that there was no actual money error. Things were handled correctly, but it was a grammatical error. And I think that was like the middle of May that we discovered this had occurred. And we were going to have SEK write us a letter of correction on that. I was wondering if we had any movement on that.
I'm not able to answer that question. I don't know that answer.
Any other discussion on Boyer and Ritter?
Mr. Wardle.
Yes.
The appointment of the auditor reminds me that some time ago, at your request, I prepared, remember the auditor came out with the audit and said that we don't have an investment policy. And so Dr. Bronte and I've reviewed a policy which I prepared. And that policy needs to be discussed by the board in public meeting. there are decisions that the board will need to make, and I'm happy to go through those with you, but we either need to get this investment policy before the finance committee or the committee of the whole to discuss the options that the board has. And I would suggest, and I know Mrs. Lenz has looked at this too, I would suggest that we invite the auditor to come to that meeting to talk about the investment policy, but we need an investment policy. I've drafted one that will serve the purpose of having a discussion about it, but there are specific decisions that the board needs to make that are not in place. So that should be something that, assuming you're going to renew the auditor, we should invite them. And that's a thing that we need to do to make sure before we get to the next audit, we don't want a second audit that says you don't have a policy.
Thank you, Mr. King.
Yes, sir.
Any other discussion with the agreement with Boyer and Ritter? Hearing none, I assume we're all voting in the affirmative to use them as our auditor unless I hear a negative or abstain. 10R, recommended approval of the middle school FFA program activities and fundraisers. The middle school principal, Clarissa Nace, on behalf of the officers and advisors of the middle school, requests approval of the proposed 26-27 program of activities. They are also asking approval for a fruit sale in December, a strawberry fundraiser in March, and a fudge fundraiser in March also. The administration recommends the Board of School Directors approve the program activities and fundraisers as presented. Do I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Motion, Mr. Myers. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mrs. Shade. I would just like to comment, I had the opportunity to bring them back from their Europe trip. Even though they retired, they were very excited, and I think it's very commendable that middle school FFA, one of the first in the state, actually took students to Europe to visit agricultural spots, and I think it was a tremendous accomplishment and achievement for our program. Any other discussion? Hearing none, I assume we're all voting in the affirmative to approve their program activities and their fundraisers as presented, unless I hear a negative or abstain. 10S, recommended acknowledgement of the additional 26-27 CRISE employees. CRISE Transportation has submitted additional drivers for the 26-27 school year. The administration recommends the Board of School Directors acknowledge receipt of the additional employees for CRISE Transportation. Do I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Shade. Any discussion? Hearing none, motion is to acknowledge receipt. I assume everyone will vote in the affirmative unless I hear a negative or abstain. Okay, that concludes the regular business for this evening. We'll move on to some information items. These will come up at another date. The turf field has been professionally serviced, and GMAX testing shows there are no abnormalities in either report. Contracted staff update. We have Dr. Sanders provide the following contracted staff. Recommended curriculum changes: elementary grade 4 and 5 science, middle school course, high school accounting career project, chamber singers, college preparatory writing, computer science foundations, concert course, and electronics. And there's a whole list on the back side. English, I'm not going to read them all. French, PA history is new. Plant and greenhouse, retail management, Spanish galore, and video game music and interactive sound design, which is new. These are to be looked at by the board, and they have been revised by our teachers and our administration, and they will come up at a later meeting. Moving on to board reports, Athletic Council, we have a meeting this Wednesday, I believe, August 5th at 7 a.m. Mr. Brown, Mr. Hippensteel, anyone want to share anything else?
I'll be there bright and early.
Okay, bring donuts. Okay.
7 a.m.
7 a.m. Thank you. I'll be there too. 12B Building and Property Committee, Mr. David Fisher, anything specific?
Not that I know of.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Fisher. 12C, Capital Area Immediate Unit, Allison Malott, is distant member, we'll call her. She's not with us this evening, but she represents and does give us a report when she's able to give one. Cumberland Perry Area CTC, some good news. They are ready for students, they hope, as of our last meeting on August 26th. August 26th. That's when the students are coming.
Oh, I thought you said your last meeting
No,
was
no.
August 26th.
Nope. August 26th, the students are coming. At least they think they're ready for them. We did get a little bit of an overview, not tour, but we were able to peek around corners. Lobar is the general contractor. There's a lot of work being done. I would say they're 90% complete, but there's still a lot of work to do, but, that is progressing nicely and, great opportunity for our students that were there before and will be joining the VOTEC or CTC program. Also, we hired a new principal on temporary until December. We've also approved some other things to make things work. I think they're still looking for a healthcare pathways teacher and another teacher in the automotive field, but the positions are filled. And things are happening quickly. I was at the last meeting and will be at the August meeting also. Finance Committee, Mrs. Shade, anything?
Nope, next meeting's October 19th.
Thank you. Future Ready Comprehensive Plan, Mrs. Shade or Mrs. Booth? South Central Trust, Mr. Corman?
Nothing at this time.
Tax Collection Committee, Mr. Fisher, anything special?
The July 14th meeting was canceled, due to, no, it's in the night. Didn't have anything to vote on, or lots of work for some reason. Nothing to vote on, so they canceled the meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Fisher. Wellness Committee, Mrs. Malat's not here. Mr. Corman, anything special?
Not at this time. We're waiting for the next meeting, which I'm not sure when that's gonna be yet, but I'll let everybody know once we have a date established.
Very good. PSBA voting delegates, thank you, Mr. Brown, Mr. Corman. I think your assembly is Saturday, November 7th, if I'm correct. Thank you
Yes.
for representing us and going there at 9 a.m. Future board agenda items, anything from the floor? Mr. King, Solicitor, do you have anything to share at this time?
I have a couple of things.
Okay.
Number one, the investment policy I spoke to.
Yes.
Number two, on the social media case, it's quite interesting. There is an attempt, and by the way, the last school case was settled, and I think I reported that to you, for $27 million in Breathitt County, Kentucky. And there is a move by Mr. Zuckerberg trying to get Congress to impose immunity for him and other operators against the lawsuits that have been filed. There's a very important meeting of the Senate's Science Committee on Wednesday, which we hope will not grant Mr. Zuckerberg what he's after. And I think there's a bipartisan effort from both sides, not all of them, but on both sides, to stop him from doing that. But he's made an outright effort to try to get Congress now to stop his liability. And of course, that would impact the Big Spring School District and the over 100 school districts that we represent in this stuff. So I'm hopeful that he's not successful, but I'll keep you advised of that. We've been quite busy with Dr. Durante. I won't say this to say the case, but there have been a lot of right to know requests. There have been a suit filed in the Human Relations Commission, one in the Cumberland County Court of Common Pleas. And so I want to thank Dr. Durante publicly for his leadership and effort in responding. People have a right to file these things, and I'll stand up for anybody's right to do that, but doesn't mean that it isn't a lot of work. And so defending the school district and answering the issues that have come up. There's a FERPA report coming. There's a Title IX investigation. So all of these things are happening at the same time. So I just wanted to thank both Mrs. Lenz and Dr. Durante for their work. It's an awful lot of work. And they've done a lot of the work, which keeps some of the costs down, but it's an expensive proposition to do these things. So I just wanted to say that out loud for you.
Thank you, Mr. King.
Thank you.
Dr. Durante, your report, please.
Yeah, thank you. It's a team effort. So, I mean, you mentioned a few, but it's the whole office, to be honest with you, because everybody shares in the pitches in. We work very hard at the end of the year to get ready for the next year, and we work throughout the whole entire summer to get ready for the next year. We worked hard to get schedules somewhat finalized to a great extent prior to the exit of students at the end of our previous school year. We opened up Aspen Portal today at 7 a.m. and by 2 p.m. We had 800 distinct logins. So if our kids aren't sitting around waiting to see what's going on, they're waiting to see what's going on. So that's good for the tech team. That's good for the building administration. That's good for the guidance counselors, and all the teachers have put a great deal of time and effort in because the students are waiting for that. We were well represented at the Shippensburg Fair. We had 12 high school students and 3 middle school students exhibit. Accolades range from grand champion, reserve champion banners and showmanship awards. But something that when I talked with our FFA advisors, the thing that they're most proud of is they use these terms: growth, confidence, responsibility, and work ethic. And that's basically all attributed to our students under the leadership of our advisors. Something that we get every summer, in addition to the state metrics relative to exams and achievement, we get our AP exam results. So last year we had 8 students. 2 years ago, we had 8 students that received distinction. And this past year, we had 17 students that earned what they call designation. 8 students, I'll go through the 3 phases of designation. 8 students scored 3 or higher on 3 AP exams. So that's a 3 or higher on 3 AP exams. You can get a scholar with honor. And we had 4 students that were designated with scholar with honor. And that means they scored an average of 3.25 out of 5, with no score less than 3. And they took 4. You follow all that? So 3.25 average, can't score less than 3, and you took a minimum of 4 exams. And then the ultimate one and the grand champion of them all would be a scholar with distinction. And we had 3 students that qualified in that category, and that's because they scored an average of 3.5 with nothing under a 3, and they took no less than 5 exams. So we're continuously trying to raise the bar on rigor. I think these students exemplify that, and I think they should be applauded for their effort. Update on kindergarten registration. We have 161 completed kindergarten registrations at this point in time, with 8 more in the queue. We got 60 at Mount Rock, 41 at Newville, and 60 at Oak Flat. Newville seems to be picking up the pace now with some of the ones that are in the queue. And the most, I have a graphic up there if you want to turn around and look. I don't want to read every single one of those. We will be promoting those both at the school level and with our district social media accounts relative to the before school activities. The most important but not listed there would be kids are coming back to us on the 25th of August, but that highlights when we're going to have our back to school new student orientation. So once we get into basically 2 weeks from now, right after our next board meeting, it's going to pick up at a pretty rapid pace, and preparation will mostly be done at that point in time. And whatever we don't have done, we're going to have to pick up the pace to make sure that it's ready for the kids to come in. That's all I have, Mr. Wardle.
Thank you, Dr. Ronde and Dr. Sanders and everyone that is preparing for our students to return. Do we have any public comment at this time? Hearing or seeing none. Business from the floor, board member comments. Mr. David Fisher, please.
Nothing.
Thank you, Mr. Fisher. Mr. Foreman.
I'm just gonna second on the job well done by our FAA student, our Future Farmers students. They're awesome. They've always been awesome. And they continue to show that farmers are the best.
Thank you, Mr. Foreman. Mr. Brown, please.
The marching band is in full swing, their second week of band camp. I do have a quick update here from Dr. Noble that he did post in the Big Spring Music Alumni Facebook group. The unforgettable season last year was 2025, was the first championship in 14 years for Big Spring Marching Bulldogs. The theme of the show this year for the 2026 production is For Whom the Bell Tolls, which is a pretty good name. They have 52 marching students on the field this year. I should say marching in front ensemble because some are on the front ensemble. So that's an amazing number, I think, for the Marching Bulldogs group. So we're very proud of them. Also, they do have a time in the evening that you can go and witness their practice, their rehearsals if you'd like. He does request that if you do go see them from between now and their last day is Thursday, I believe, you go between 8 and 8:45 p.m. Stay off to the side, be quiet, be respectful, all those things. But it'd be great to go cheer on these Marching Bulldogs, and hopefully we can do a repeat here in the 2026 season. So I'm pretty excited to get out there, hopefully tomorrow or Thursday, even myself, to witness some of this great music being put on the field. But other than that, hopefully everyone had a great summer and can't wait to get things started for this next school year.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Mrs. Malott, you're still not with us, is that correct? Very good. Mr. Myers, please.
Yeah, just a couple of things. Dr. Grande, how many positions do we need to fill yet to start school?
Well, I'm gonna look at Dr. Sanders for that.
Dr. Sanders.
A couple.
Are we getting close?
It's getting closer. I keep looking and it's shrinking. So we have a few positions that are open. School psychologists, we have 2. And then we're looking for special education teachers.
Also, do we have an update on the sale of land?
Yes, we're gonna open those bids, September 1st.
Okay.
So, and I'm not sure at this point in time that we've received anything. Last update, we had not received anything.
Doesn't the bid close on the 19th, I think?
Yeah.
Okay.
I can speak to that a little bit. I did visit, this off the cuff, I guess, with a couple of people close by. And there wasn't a lot of interest. It seems like we may need to, and Mr. King, correct me if I'm wrong, donate or attach to it and donate property or something to get it off of our plate. Because the people that I met with said, well, you can't do anything with this. It's a swale. It's only 51 feet wide. You can't even turn around a tractor in it. So it's kind of landlocked.
So give it to them whether they want it or not.
Well, somebody's cutting the grass once a year. Yeah.
Oh, and could we have Mrs. McIntyre do a presentation of her trip to Italy? For
Certainly, we can inquire with that. Absolutely. Yep.
Thank you.
Mr. Shade? Okay. Mrs. Booth?
It's currently 9:07 and we started this meeting a little late, after the committee of the whole ended at 7:38. And I know in the middle of discussion, it seemed like maybe we were already discussing that one particular item for an hour. Obviously, we were not. It may feel that way when you're trying to run the meeting. But I do not feel that having discussions is a waste of time. I think bringing up issues with our contracts that we are asked to approve is very important. The services that these groups are providing to our students are very important. And it's very important that we as a board are well aware of what is going on and what the expectations are. And if they're expected to pay us $1 a month or 10, for example. And it is also important to know why the decisions are made, why are elementary school students being cut out of this agreement versus the high school and middle school. If the therapists are available, why would we have decided to cut the services to elementary school, but not the high school and middle school? In the middle school, this year only had 4 students serving. If things don't go your way, you're running the meeting, or you're the ones in charge, it's hard to backpedal and just start curveball after the fact. The motion failed, or it had more no's than yeses. And then it was weighed in that we would say no as well, which effectively killed that motion. And then the time wasting was over. But we all represent people. Each one of us represents people, and they do care about these issues. It's important. And so every discussion we have is important to someone, very important to some people. So it's important to keep the communication open and not try to shut that down if it's not something you want to hear. I think we all need to hear these things. And I would like to formally request a list of other for-profit companies, medical companies that provide some kind of medical service that is not required by the state, that is charging parents for insurance the going rate. I'd like to see a complete list of those, because it was implied that we have more. I would like to know who they are. Also, I'd like to request that we do have information presented on the investment policy at our earliest convenience at committee of the whole with our auditors, so we can get that arranged as soon as possible.
Thank you, Mrs. Booth. Mr. Evans,
No, nothing.
If we close the meeting tonight, as I arrived on campus, I saw soccer, softball, baseball, fields being used for different groups, the band practicing. I was also up at the Shippensburg Fair and saw our students and their participation, which I thought was outstanding. In just over 2 weeks, we're going to be walking the students back to our campus for not only academics, but also athletics, for their clubs and all the things they want to participate in. So we want to be ready, be enthused, and be ready to welcome them to their school, to your school as the public. I want to encourage you to visit the Ag Expo, which is this week. That's a big thing for some of our students and community out at the Newville Fairgrounds. And I know there's a fair happening Thursday, Friday, Saturday somewhere, so we might help out that fire company. But this is a time of growth, but it's also a time of expectation and enthusiasm, and we want to encourage those students to join us in a very positive way. That's all I have for this evening. Do I have anything else from the board? Hearing none, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Motion, Mr. Myers, do I have a second? Second, Mr. Shade. I hear no discussion, there is none. I assume everyone will vote affirmative unless I hear a negative or abstain. Motion carries.
Do you want to?